Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Wilhelm Screamin'. Welcome back to another day in Destiny 2 for some more Destiny 2 news and Lightfall Season of the Wish intel. And first off, I'd like to apologize as I posted a video on what I thought was the PsiOps Battlegrounds COSMODROME yesterday, and it actually turned out to be a different PsiOps Battlegrounds. And I really would like to say I wish Bungie would just change up these Battlegrounds names, give them something clever like all the other strikes or the literally thousands of weapons that we have in this game that always seem to have very nuanced names. How hard is it to really just give the Battlegrounds a name of some kind to allow us to differentiate a little bit easier? But in any case, today we are going to be running you through this week's PsiOps Battleground GM, which is the COSMODROME. We haven't had this in quite some time, so I'm sure everybody's going to want a little bit of an update on it. And this one is very difficult. This might be, in my opinion, the most difficult battleground currently in the GM Nightfall rotation. If you can complete this Nightfall this week, you will be earning yourself the Warden's Law hand cannon, which is heavily sought after, does almost as much damage as the Malfeasance in PvE, and is great for PvP. And if you can complete this, of course, at the GM difficulty, you will earn yourself the Adept version of the Warden's Law. Couple of tricks and a glitch that I do want to share with you for this that I think will help out solo players at the lower level difficulties and groups, or anybody trying to complete this at GM difficulty. If you are trying to complete this as a solo player at GM, my hat's off to you, as this is absolutely mind-numbing at that difficulty as a solo player, and if you can complete it at solo, I doubt you really need my help. But we're going to go through all of them today. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe as always if you enjoyed the content, and stick around till the end of the video for that secret hashtag you can leave in the comments section to be entered into the next giveaway for this video. Remember, I do want every 1,000 subscribers, and we're doing an Xbox Series X or a video card when we reach 100,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. First off, for this first zone, it's fairly straightforward. Just stay in the back. Keep as much range as you possibly can. I was using a scout rifle for this with solar, as you can see, and it was doing a lot of work. We were doubling up on our Well of Radiance, and we had a Invis Hunter in order to bring the boat forward. Big shout outs to my buddy Simple, Sinister, Bert, even though he only came in to help and we actually didn't need him because we had Iron Man in our group helping us out, and we were actually able to complete the run with him. Once you get through that first open field section, it does get a little bit easier, as you can bottleneck most of the enemies that are going to be spawning in front of the door that you'll have to proceed through into this hallway. It's important to note not to jump up onto the roof to your right, as there is a Hive Wizard and Knight up there that can't hit you so long as you are in this little hallway. However, if you do jump up onto the roof to your right, not only can they hit you, but they will also spawn another Hive Wizard and Knight. And that Hive Wizard and Knight will continually spawn and shoot down on you even when you're right here or even closer to the wall to our right. And even if you proceed back, they will just continually spawn in. And I'm not totally sure why this happens, because so long as you don't touch that one Wizard and Knight, you will not get another spawn of enemies. But if you kill them or jump up onto the roof, you will get an endless spawn of Wizards and Knights on the roof directly to your right, and that completely screws up this whole section and will probably ruin your run. Stay back here, use Invis to get the boat as close to the door as possible, and don't forget to actually kill the wizards or the light-bearing wizard's actual ghost at the end of it. Make sure that you're ready to run up to the front. I would actually suggest clear out all the enemies, even the blue bar knights, before you actually kill the final wizard, because you don't want anything shooting at you while you have to make that sprint across the field in order to get the ghost. And most likely you're going to be a good distance away from the wizard when you actually finally kill them. And on to the next zone, an area that I think is going to give people the most trouble. In all the runs that we did yesterday, this was actually the zone where we were most likely to wipe, and it's sort of the reason why I'm not a fan of PsiOps Battlegrounds in general, as the way that these things are made more difficult is simply by adding more enemies, and when you have a very condensed area like we're going to be fighting through, the amount of enemies spawning is just ridiculous. I believe there is 7 waves of enemies, each one about 30 enemies deep, so it's an absolute slog. And there's a couple of ways to do this. The easiest and probably the safest way is to do what we're doing here and simply stay by the door in the hallway, as no enemies are actually going to come through the doorway. And though you're shooting through a very tight quarter, and when you have 3 of your teammates bunched up, it can be a little claustrophobic. If you have Well of Radiance, this is going to be where that comes in super handy. Or you could actually, if you were a solo player, hold the back side of the room where you see us shooting right now. There is a corner there which gives you a better vantage point of the enemies, so you could probably do more damage, but it also allows you to be more in the open. So the odds of a reverse spawn happening suddenly and you just getting wiped are quite a bit higher. But maybe a combination of the two things would be a good option. Holding the door, as Hodor said, is just the easiest way, in my opinion. And if you are in a group, I'm sure this is going to be the thing that most people go to, as it just mitigates the chance of wiping easily. Most of the time, you're not going to die in the room. You're going to die in the threshold of the room or the doorway of the room. And it's fairly easy to get a revive there. It's fortunate that none of the enemies actually come out of that room. No, you're going to be fighting at least 3 different waves of unstoppable champions, as well as a couple of barrier champion waves, and several arc wave knights. So just keep that in mind, that this room is not a fast one. On average, it took us about 10 minutes to get through here, and I actually found this to be even more difficult than the boss room. Even though the boss room, you might be a little bit more likely to wipe on occasion when you're doing boss damage, I actually think if you go about it the right way, it's much easier than this to avoid all the damage altogether. And this is one of those rooms where it's just so many enemies and so overwhelming that when you die, you really feel it. So don't get too frustrated and just play it safe. The next spot, which I think can actually trip people up, as it doesn't seem like it would be difficult, it is more of a transitional area versus an actual zone where you're going to be fighting a lot of enemies, is when you have to get to the bridge and fight that first lightbearer before you actually get teleported into the final boss arena. Now, the thing about this lightbearer is it's the void shield one, and when the void shield tracks to any one of your teammates and kills one of you, it really kills all of you. So make sure to keep your distance and just phase down the lightbearer until you finally get teleported to the boss arena. And when you do get teleported, it's important to note that the momentum from the teleport will actually throw you off the top platform, so prepare yourself to make the jump, and know that we are going to be using this back platform as our base of operations for the entire boss encounter. And now on to the actual boss encounter. As I said, this is going to be our base of operations, as up on this platform is the absolute best way to take out the Lightbearer and to mitigate most of the damage coming in from the Clones of Savathun, which is the actual boss. Note that the Lightbearer can still hit you up here with the shield if you're not paying attention, and I don't want anybody to get caught out, because remember, if he kills one of your teammates, most likely it's going to kill all of you. You can survive a lot, or at least deflect a lot of the damage, not only from the Lightbearer, but also from the Savathun clones by staying either on the back side of this platform or hanging out on the edges. There's a slight rim around the entire thing. If you stay on that rim that's sort of a step down from the base platform, most of the Lightbearer's shields will get deflected. You can also hide behind these two pillars on the right and left. When they do go behind cover, you can still get a good line of sight on them most times if you sort of use these spots. And also, it'll usually aggro to you, and it allows your teammates more time and possibly a better vantage point in order to do damage to not only Savathun but also that Lightbearer. Remember that if the Lightbearer does throw the shield at this point, if it gets deflected, it will not track. So it loses its tracking so long as it gets deflected. So actually sometimes when the Lightbearer goes behind these walls and you can get a nice little vantage point like you see me have here, it's actually very easy to burn them down. But overall, the Lightbearer is not going to be the big problem. It's going to be the clones of Savathun that are going to give people the most trouble. Still going to be remaining on this platform for the most part, but if you are doing this solo, and I hope you're on a hunter if you are, this is going to be the point where Invis is going to come in handy. And now on to the first phase of the boss encounter, which is going to be a little bit different than the second phase of the boss encounter. The first boss encounter phase is actually a lot easier than the second, as you only really have to fight the one clone of Savathun. And if you are running this solo, once you take out most of the adds in the area, it's actually fairly easy to jump down, especially if you have Invis, and grab the spear and jump back up. I would like to note that if you use left trigger while holding the spear, it's actually a teleport. And a lot of people don't really understand that that's there and an actual function of the actual spear that you use to do damage to the boss. So this allows you to traverse the map and jump back up onto this platform quite a bit easier, especially if you are a hunter using Invis. You could Invis down to the spear, jump, teleport, and you're essentially back onto the platform. The damage coming out from the clones of Savathun is very heavy, but they're not going to be able to kill you that quickly. Nothing's really going to be able to hit you if you're moving that fast. And the best way to get out of the way of the damage of the clone of Savathun, if they are shooting at you on the platform, is simply to jump in the air or move left and right in a fairly fast rotation, and you should be able to avoid all of that damage. Now, there is something that I like to note if you are doing this in a group that will help out, I think, a lot of people, and this is really where this, I would say, the cheese of having this platform in the back really becomes a glitch. And this is sort of an old thing, and you might see us shooting at the clone of Savathun here and wondering what we're actually doing. No, we didn't think we could just do damage to the boss. We're actually pulling the aggro off of our teammate who is out on the field in front of us that's throwing the spear. And you could just jump up back onto this platform and do damage from here with the spear and not have to worry about any of the adds. But if you are doing this in a group, it's a little bit easier if you just have a teammate out in the field in front of you where they can just continually grab the spears versus having to jump back and forth. But if you are a solo player, that's going to be the strategy, jumping back and forth and always doing damage from here. But if you are in a group, as I said, make sure that you have one teammate maybe clearing out the adds and the other doing constant shots to the actual Savathun clone or boss. Because even though you're not doing damage to them, simply by firing at them, you are pulling aggro off of your teammate, and that will give them more time to grab the spears and avoid the adds on the field. And now on to the second phase of the boss encounter, which, as I said, is going to be a little bit more difficult. Make sure that you clear out as many adds as you possibly can, as well as the unstoppable champion, before you make any moves in attempting to actually do damage to the final boss. Something to note about this is you are fortunate that the one that will spawn in the back right really can't do anything to you so long as you're on this platform, as all the shots that they would be sending your way will be blocked by that large scaffolding in front of you, and the distance alone kind of prevents the boss from shooting at you completely. So you really only need to deal with that left clone of Savathun. Now, we use sort of an interesting strategy that I would only really suggest if you are doing this in a group, and that is we go to the right and we just chain our Well of Radiance on top of the platform where the spear is going to be spawning. We all grab spears and we just nuke that back right clone of Savathun before they really have a chance to do anything. When you're over on this platform, the one on the left won't be able to hit you either, so this could be a strategy for solo players, maybe going to this right side first, though I would suggest maybe just grabbing a spear, using that teleport option like I said, and just going back to the platform and taking out the left one first, as the right one will not move so long as you don't shoot at them. And then maybe use this as an option to take out the final back right one once you've taken out the left one, but I leave that up to you whether or not you find taking out the right one or the left one works best, as you can get pretty good trick shots off with the spear. It curves quite a bit, and even from the vantage point that we're at here, it's fairly easy to throw around most of the impediments in our way, and the spear still will curve to the Savathun clone. Also, most of the enemies won't be able to hit you here. There might be a few stragglers around this particular platform, but for the most part, you should be okay. And once you've taken out both of the clones of Savathun, I would suggest running back onto the main platform that we've been standing on for that last phase of damage to the Lightbearer. Now, the great thing about that is that, as I said before, the Lightbearer will really not be able to do damage to you, and most of his shield throws will be deflected so long as you're at that distance and on the platform. But keep in mind that the Lightbearer does have a ghost, so even though you kill them and you've really completed most of this GM at that point, you do want to be ready to make the dash back on to the final boss arena in order to crush the ghost. So before you do that, I would suggest take out as many of the adds that will be spawning in, and there will be several phases the longer that actual final phase of damage for the Lightbearer goes, before you actually kill the Lightbearer. And once you're back up onto the platform, you're really in the safe zone for the remainder of this fight, as the Lightbearer won't be able to hit you here. For the most part, you can use your healing in order to stay out of danger, or, as I said, stay on the rim of the circle in order to prevent the shield from actually getting all the way to you. It should get deflected before it gets to you by a multitude of different things. As you see here, the actual Lightbearer is stuck behind the wall, and if you have good range, you should be able to just keep them there until they finally are dropped. Remember to be ready to go and take out their ghost, and try to get as many of the adds off the field before you are forced to do that as possible, so that you don't get caught out at the very last minute, like almost happened to us in this particular run. And that is going to conclude all the information in today's video. Hopefully you found something in this video helpful. Hopefully this will allow you to get your hands on the Warden's Law this week, or just complete your Conqueror's Seal if that's something you're going for. Remember, all the GMs are available now, so if you haven't done any of them that are easier and you're looking to just farm out the Warden's Law, that might be a slightly better option, though I'm sure the majority of people are going to be playing this particular battleground this week. Good luck to all of you, especially if you are running this solo. I'm sure it's quite a bit easier on the lower level difficulties, but if you are going for a solo GM, then let me know in the comments if you get it done, because this one is absolutely insane and was probably my least favorite battleground or strike in the current GM Nightfall rotation to do this season, and I really hope I don't have to do it again anytime soon in the foreseeable future. Thanks so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and turn on the bell to post notifications so you never miss out on any future Destiny 2 Lightfall content like this. You can also follow me, as I said before, on Instagram or Twitter. They'll be linked in the description box down below. Remember, any of those things also enter you into any future giveaways on this YouTube channel, and I do one every 1,000 subscribers, so you never want to miss out. Of course, we'll be doing that Xbox Series X or a video card of equivalent value when we reach 100,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. If you've watched till this point in the video, you can leave a hashtag Lightfall, or a hashtag Season of the Wish, or a hashtag Nightfall, or a hashtag PsiOps Battlegrounds Cosmodrome, or maybe just a hashtag Cosmodrome in the comments section down below for another entry into the next giveaway for this video. And as always, I am Wilhelm Scream. Thanks so much for watching, and of course, we will see you next time.